Hey everybody, it's Allison, Prep Dish founder, and today I'm going to talk about one of my favorite topics, and that is meal prep. And I today wanted to dive in a little deeper and sort of define meal prep and then outline the top 3 different types of meal prep that I see. I'm filming this in the spring of 2020, so I thought this would be a really good time to revisit the different approaches to meal prep and what the pros and cons are. And especially during this time, I know meals for everyone look different than they used to, and meal prep might as well. So it might be a good time to sort of reevaluate your approach to meals and see if maybe during this time or even moving forward indefinitely, there might be some different ways that you can approach things. So let's go ahead and dive right in. The first way that I see people approach meal prep is doing one meal prep session for the entire week. I call this sort of the all or nothing approach, and that's taking, so say meal prep Monday or maybe over the weekend like Saturday or Sunday, taking a few hours out of your day and really setting yourself up with all of the meals that you need for the entire week. This actually is not where I recommend people start. The pros are obviously like you're going to have food for the whole week. So if you have a busy work week or just a busy schedule in general, and or you have kids, and just really if you want an easier dinner time, this is an awesome approach because you get all the work done up front. Throughout the week, all of your meals are ready. From here, there's actually a few different ways to even approach this. One is just getting all of your meals kind of ready to go, so doing all your chopping. But another approach is to actually cook everything through. This is especially if anyone, I know right now you may not be going into an office, but if you go into an office, like actually cooking everything through, so that way you can just take it in and reheat it really easily. Another approach here is called batching, where you're doing like repeat things. So meal prep doesn't have to be the same as batching. So batching would be making a big pot of rice and maybe a big thing of broccoli and then a grilled salmon, and then portioning that out. So each day you kind of have the rice and the salmon and the broccoli. So, and I think a lot of times my mind goes to, when I think of the batching, is I think of, people in the fitness industry do this a lot just to make sure they kind of stay on track with how they're wanting to eat. But a lot of families can do it too. You can prepare all of a big batch of, and you can do this in small ways too. So batching isn't my primary way that I meal prep, but I definitely pull things from there. So if I'm gonna make, rice for the week, I will make it and use it throughout a few meals. I love to do this with big cuts of meat. So you've probably seen some videos of different roasts and like beef barbacoa that I do, and then I use it in different ways throughout the week. So that way you're getting the batching without the repetitiveness. So anyway, but that's really the first style meal prep, is doing one meal prep session that really lasts for the entire week. The next one is sort of a modified version of this, and that's doing kind of a few smaller prep days throughout the week. This is what I find myself doing. It's very similar to that first one, but not doing just one day, but maybe having, and maybe I'll have like a main day, but I definitely have another day where I'm doing some more meal prep. So, maybe Sunday afternoon I do some meal prep, but then by Wednesday or Thursday, I kind of jump back in and do it for the next few days. So instead of doing a week at a time, I'm really doing kind of one every, for 3 or 4 days. And I find with Prep Dish, a lot of people will do this. Another approach to this is to do a meal prep, say on Sunday, that lasts you maybe Monday through Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday with the weekend, you don't need it as much. So you're not doing twice a week, but you're not doing that full start at the beginning of the week for like 7 days. This is where I find most people land. And when people are just starting with meal prep, a lot of times I like to suggest an approach more similar to this. The difficulty that I find is if you start out feeling like you have to meal prep every meal for 7 days, that is super overwhelming. So if you're just getting started, keep in mind that this modified approach could work really well, and it's still meal prep. You're still setting yourself up. It's just maybe doing it in smaller doses versus one mega meal prep for the whole week. And then the third one is an even more kind of simplified or modified version of this, and that's really just like maybe at the beginning of the day prepping yourself for success. So, but that has its benefits too. You know, if you find that like first thing in the morning, you know, you have a little extra time to do some chopping, or at night after dinner, you could like chop up your veggies and everything for the next day. So even that sort of meal prep is getting at the key benefit, which is having things done in advance, the mealtime simpler. So you're making better choices. So you're not like just, if I don't have food meal prepped, I'm way more likely to reach for something that I'm going to later think, man, that wasn't really the best choice. So meal prep is the good way to do that. And this like very modified approach of just doing it like once a day or once every 2 days is still going to have the benefit of you having meals on hand kind of ready to go, but not having to scramble at the last minute and making more thoughtful decisions. So that's kind of the stages that I look at when I look at meal prep is like, okay, you do it 1 for the full week, or you do like kind of 2 throughout the week, or you're kind of like almost every day just prepping it. But like, this is really good too for like, you know, a mom with kids. You're just kind of like fitting it in. I know I have some mom friends that homeschool, and so they find that there's like windows of time where they know that they have, sorry, I do have a rooster outside enjoying the weather, and that's the downside. But yeah, if you have pockets of time throughout your day that maybe aren't the normal time that you would be preparing dinner, but you're kind of getting yourself ready for that, that's another way that you can approach it. So those are kind of the 3 ways I look at it. And just keep in mind that no matter where you're at, and especially right now, if you're reevaluating how you do meals, you might want to kind of play around and see what frequency works best for your family. And meal prep doesn't have to be an all or nothing approach. That in fact can be pretty dangerous. And then I also do want to mention a few other styles. So there's freeze ahead meals, and this is where you can actually like do like a mega batch of like, you know, a month's worth of meals in the freezer or something like that. I never do all of my meals from the freezer. I do like to have a well-stocked freezer. I will link to some previous videos that I've done on freezer meals because I do think it's kind of fun to play around with. So that is another kind of version of meal prep that's out there as well. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like, subscribe, and share with a friend, and I will see you next Tuesday.